The VA loan process can be overwhelming with so much information out there, so I wanted to create a video that lays out everything in a straightforward way, no fluff, just what you need to know to get started. But before we jump into today's video, my name is Casey McEwen, and welcome to the Veteran Advantage channel. I'm a proud U.S. Marine Corps veteran and had the honor of serving from 2008 to 2012 out of Camp Pendleton, California. Now, whether or not you're still on active duty, you're looking at potentially joining the military, maybe getting ready to transition into civilian life after the military, or just curious about the benefits available after serving in the military, this channel's got you covered completely. So go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more future content. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into this. Who qualifies for a VA loan? If you're on active duty and if you've served at least 90 consecutive days, you're eligible. If you're in the National Guard or Reserves, though, you'll need 6 years of service. And if you're a surviving spouse or a veteran, you may also qualify as well. If you're unsure about specific situations, check the VA's website to confirm your eligibility, or just reach out to me directly and I'll do my best to point you in the right direction. Now, let's talk about what a VA loan actually is and why it's an absolute game changer. The VA home loan isn't the government handing you money, it's the government backing your loan. Essentially, the VA guarantees a portion of your loan, up to 25%, to a private lender. This guarantee lowers the risk for banks, meaning you don't need a down payment and you actually get better loan terms, and you also don't have to worry about private mortgage insurance, or what we call PMI. To put it simply, if you buy a $200,000 home and something happens where you can't make payments anymore, the bank knows the government will cover up to $50,000 of that loan if they have to foreclose. That's why lenders are willing to offer you a home loan opportunity without requiring a down payment. And without PMI, it's obviously going to vary by the loan amount, but you're saving an extra $80 to maybe $100, if not more, which can add up to thousands of dollars a year. Now, another big plus here is there's no official loan limit with the VA. That said, lenders will still look at your income and debt to determine what they're willing to approve you for. So while the VA might not have a cap, your lender might, so keep that in mind. For example, I know I barely qualified for my first VA loan in 2017. For a duplex, it was about $285,000, but I was making about $50,000 or $55,000 as a high school teacher and a wrestling coach at a local high school here in Dallas, Texas. Now, I went off and actually made that purchase as well as a second purchase with my VA loan in 2019 for about $380,000. Both of those have since been sold and I've upgraded to larger investment properties, but I'm going to use my VA loan again in 2026. But this time it's going to be on a property between $3 and $4 million. Again, the VA loan has no limit as long as you can qualify for that loan amount. So obviously income has gone up substantially. I have a lot of additional income streams, and I also have a decent amount saved, which is going to allow myself likely to take out a loan somewhere in the $2.2 to $2.4 million range, and then basically use a large portion of cash as a remainder to cover the entire purchase of the house. So again, no limit on the VA loan, but you just have to be able to qualify for whatever loan amount that you're requesting. So what exactly is the catch here? Well, the biggest downside I think that we talk about is the VA funding fee. Now, this is a one-time fee that helps keep the program running. The amount depends on whether it's your first time using the VA loan and how much you're actually putting down. If you're doing 0% down, the funding fee is typically about 2.3% of the loan amount. That means, let's say you're buying a $200,000 house, you're gonna have to pay $4,600. Now, if you don't wanna pay it up front, you can always roll it into your loan, but if you're a disabled veteran, a Purple Heart recipient, or a surviving spouse, you're likely going to be exempt from this fee. So make sure that you check your eligibility and whether or not you have to pay this fee. Also keep in mind that fee amount is going to be based off of your first time using your VA loan. If you utilize your VA loan, keep it, maybe let's say rent it out to someone, and then you go utilize your VA loan again. Utilizing your VA loan for the second time is going to incur a larger fee than just a first-time use individual. Now let's talk about what kind of home you can buy with a VA home loan. Well, this is meant traditionally for a primary residence, not an investment property. That being said though, if you want to buy a multifamily property like a duplex, triplex, or quad and live in one of the units, you can also rent out the others. That's exactly what I did. The VA will also send an appraiser to ensure that the home is safe and fairly priced, and sometimes they'll require the seller to make repairs before you close. If the house needs major work, you might be able to roll those renovation costs into your loan, but I wouldn't expect it. Now, the loan process itself has a few steps, guys. First, you need to prove your eligibility. Obviously, if you're not a veteran or if you're on active duty, you're not going to get a VA loan. But if you're on active duty, this means getting a statement of service from your command. Let's say you're a veteran, you're going to need a DD-214 and a certificate of eligibility, which essentially you can get through the VA's website. Now, next, you're going to need to get pre-approved. pre-approved, as every single person that purchases a house does need to get pre-approved. Don't just go with your first lender though, make sure that you shop and get multiple quotes. Interest rates vary from bank to bank, and even a small difference can cost you thousands of dollars over the course of the loan. Seriously guys, spending an extra hour or two rate shopping could save you tens of thousands of dollars or more in interest payments. Also keep in mind that there are certain companies out there that are going to try to persuade you based off of their name. I'm not gonna say any particular names, but if a company has veteran in it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's veteran owned. Wink face, hint, hint. Do your due diligence. I would highly suggest that you actually speak to a fellow veteran and get their recommendations if they've purchased a house with their VA loan and had a good experience, or just reach out to me. I can get you a lender and an agent anywhere in the country, but don't go with these large brands that are likely going to charge you an arm and a leg when it comes to all of the fees associated with purchasing a house. Now, once you're pre-approved, it's time for the fun part, and that's really when I typically jump in here, and that's gonna be house hunting. Work with an experienced realtor who understands the VA home loan process. It's also a good idea to visit multiple homes, even if you think the first one is the one. Knowing what you don't want is just as important as knowing what you do want. Obviously, as I just mentioned as well, if you don't have a lender, if you don't have an agent, I service the Dallas-Fort Worth market, and if you're special enough, I'm also licensed in Florida. I sometimes consider flying out and showing properties around with people if it makes sense. But if you aren't in either one of those markets, I have realtors and lenders all over the country that I have great relationships with. Some of them are veterans, some of them are active duty service members, and some of them are just individuals that I know, love, and trust. Obviously, I would love to be able to refer you to them. So if you don't have a solid agent or a lender in anywhere in the country, make sure to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Reach out to me, text me, DM me, whatever it may be, and I'll get you set up with a professional and not someone that just got their license yesterday. No offense. Especially since you're an individual who has served or is serving in our military. Now, after you find a home, you make an offer. Obviously, your realtor will help you with this, but this is where negotiations will happen, including who is paying closing costs. Now, the VA requires sellers to cover certain fees, but you'll need to work with your realtor, such as myself, to negotiate everything else. Now, once your offer is accepted, the VA will send out an appraiser to check the home's condition and value. If everything checks out, well, you're headed to closing. Closing day is a big deal. You'll sign a mountain of paperwork, but once you do and you've finished, well, congratulations, guys. You're officially a homeowner. And that's about it, guys, for this week's video. But before I wrap up, let's go ahead and talk about the most important question that I get asked so much. Obviously, this is 2025. Rates are kind of high. So, Casey, should I be buying a home right now? Now, honestly, it's going to differ from family to family, from individual to individual. My suggestion is that you reach out to me. I am not going to be financially incentivized to push you into a house. I can tell you I do very, very well for myself, and I feel very, very fortunate to do as well as I do for myself. I would rather create a relationship with you and tell you outright, let's hold off for a year or two, build that relationship, build that trust, and help you buy in a year or two when it makes more sense, versus just telling you, yes, buy this house, I want your commission, and I need to pay my bills. That's not me. It's never been me and will never be me, nor will it be anyone that I work with. So my biggest suggestion there and easiest answer is just reach out to me and let's have a conversation. If you want to get an actual answer from this video, well, I'm gonna tell you that right now it's not cheap to buy a house. But I can also tell you it's also not cheap wasting money every single month renting from a landlord or an investor. I'm a landlord and investor myself. I love my tenants. I love the fact that they are building my wealth. I love the fact that they are paying down my mortgages and, generally speaking, keeping good care of my properties that they're residing in. But definitely makes sense sometimes to rent, and it definitely makes sense more times than not to buy. But in this case, as of right now, if you're renting, I would always err on the side to purchase. I'm definitely not saying here to purchase at the top end of your budget when rates are high and home prices haven't absolutely fallen out of the skies yet. But I'm always going to be a big advocate of home ownership because I've seen how big of a deal it's done for me in my financial future. But again, that's just kind of a generic answer. I would highly suggest that you leave a comment in the comment section down below or reach out to me personally and we can have a conversation together. Thanks as always, guys. I appreciate all of the love and support. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help. And stay tuned for next week's content.